Hi, I'm Steve Spencer from SME Capital. In today's video, we're talking about BABA and the market top mem that came out, I guess, in mid-September-ish. And I was hoping to create a video a little bit earlier, but due to circumstances, our video guy blowing out his knee, getting sick, and it didn't quite come together as soon as I wanted. I wanted to do this kind of before BABA had made the run-up and made new highs and the market had made new highs. But I want to walk you kind of through what the thought process was for me, why BABA doing an $20 billion IPO really was not evidence of a market top, and maybe why some people, there were some traders who I respect who thought that it might be putting a market top, and then there were others who just kind of spouted it out and it didn't really make much sense. But in the meantime, I think there's a lesson to be learned here, even though we didn't get this out as early as I would have liked. So why did some people say that BABA maybe was creating a market top? This idea that they were raising $20 billion was somehow an example of market euphoria. Why would investors put so much money into something that was such a risky investment? A Chinese company, could you trust the books, that sort of thing? And it was reminiscent for some people of the internet bubble. So when this meme first came out and a few people were talking about it and saying, hey, it's going to mark the top, my initial reaction was, number one, Alibaba is actually the #1 internet company in China. It's growing much faster than Amazon. And from my perspective, money going into it was more evidence of the fact that there's just a lot of liquidity out there, as opposed to people making misjudgments as to the long-term potential of Alibaba. So China is the #1 internet usage country. There are more people using the internet for commerce in that country than actually people live in the United States. So there's the potential there. Number two, BABA is the #1 company in their space. And number three, from the time that I first visited China back in 2004, the biggest thing that they solved in terms of the problem that I saw in terms of an impediment in them making billions of dollars was when I first visited China back in 2004, no one had credit cards. Everything was cash, cash, cash. And as the growth of e-commerce was happening in the United States, the question really for me was, how is that going to happen in China? Because no one even has credit cards there. They don't trust the system. And Alibaba solved that problem. They invented something called Alipay, where we don't really need to get into the details of that. But with that solution, now tens of millions of people are transacting business online. And that's why over the next few years, Alibaba will probably move to much higher prices. And so just from a pure fundamental standpoint, they're China #1 internet, #1 company. They solved the issue in terms of doing e-commerce online. From my standpoint, there's no reason why this stock couldn't have upside. And just from a pure market trading standpoint, they priced this thing, I thought, very well in the mid-60s. The first day, they opened it up around $92 a share. And what I was looking for over the next month was a nice sideways action accumulation, and that's what we got. Basically, it was accumulated between $85 and $90 a share. When the market had that 10% pullback in mid-October, it actually went a few points lower than I thought potentially was a great price to get in. Gave me a chance to get in a little bit lower, around 84. Those of you who follow me on StockTwits and Twitter, I called it out as soon as it moved back inside of that consolidation range above 86. I called it out again when it moved to the high 80s above 90. And basically what we had here was a scenario where people thought this thing was overpriced and was going to go down. Well, anytime you have people leaning in the wrong direction, as soon as it starts moving up, that's really when you want to start to lay into it. And as we speak today, it's moved up about $30 from that consolidation area. And so I look over the next year or two for this to move to higher prices as long as they continue to perform. But that's really kind of my piece as to why I never really bought into the meme Alibaba was putting in a market top, for what it's worth. Thanks.